Indiana takes on Kansas Saturday, 12:30 at the Simon Scott Assembly Hall. And after that, over at Hoosier Hanks East off of College Mall Road, the post-game show with Todd Leary after the game with Todd Leary commences. If you're not going to the game, can't get a ticket, just head to Hoosier Hanks, and we'll be there afterwards. Please welcome in Tyler Smith from thehoosier.com. How are you, sir?
I'm great. I'm ready for Saturday after the Auburn loss, and it's been a long break here, so excited to get back to Assembly Hall for a crazy one on Saturday.
It will definitely be that. And looking over the scores from last night, things are getting a little crazy. Out in Las Vegas, number 8 Creighton gets knocked off 79-64. Florida Atlantic was at home to Florida International, and they did what they should do, wiped them off the face of the planet 94-60. Florida Atlantic is a good team. Do not sleep on them. They I think they've lost 2 games. Yeah, one of those was to a close game to Illinois. I forget the other game they lost, but that was a bad loss for them. But BYU beats Denver, which BYU is ranked, people. Brigham Young. This is why Northwestern, of course, gets stunned at home by Chicago State, a 25-point underdog to a 4-19. But BYU, okay, they're ranked 18th in the country. This is why I go on the tangents that I do. I said I wasn't going to talk as much today, and this is the only thing I'm going to get on my little soapbox about. If you can build a program at BYU who has zero, well, I shouldn't say zero, they have very little basketball resources. They have zero basketball tradition. They do not have the fan support that IU has. They do not have the talent in their state that Indiana has. They do not have the NIL capacity that Indiana has. They do not have anything that Indiana has, yet Indiana cannot get to that level. And that is the point that I try to make. And it's not that I want to be negative. Man, these are the facts. You're in year 3 of a new coaching regime that you're supposed to have progress. Each year is supposed to be a little bit better than the year before. Now, once you get to a point, it's just gonna, like whomever it is, it's up and down, but it's progress. I'm not seeing that personally at Indiana. I'm seeing plateau and just back and forth. And Tyler, you can agree or disagree to that.
I agree. I think you've got valid points. Last year there was progress, a little bit of progress from the year before, which was good. They've done some things that hadn't been done in a while. The argument that I don't like that fans often make is, well, there's a bunch of new players and it takes time, and that's true, but there's plenty of other programs that have major turnover every year and they continue to be top teams, especially when you have the portal at your disposal. That should be something that, you can tap into that and maintain your momentum year over year. Now, maybe this team does play well towards the second half and things kind of click. They've got the talent to do that, hopefully. But yeah, it's pretty valid. I think that this should be a team that, with the resources, with the tradition, with the fan base, they should be a top, at least in the rankings, year in, year out.
Yeah, this should not be a rebuild year, especially when you have Kalel Ware coming in, when you have Mackenzie Mbako coming in. This is not. I saw someone say this. They were supposed to be middle of the pack. No, they weren't. No, they were not. Guard problems are probably number one. And of course, Xavier being hurt, that is a big part of that. And I understand that, but also the lack of being able to land a guard or guards in addition to that has killed Indiana. There's an open scholarship just because of that reason. So that's what I say there. But Indiana goes into this game on Saturday against a number 2 ranked Kansas team that would love nothing more than to come into Bloomington and do what they're supposed to do, because they're supposed to win this game.
Yeah, I believe it's their first true road game of the year, so that could favor Indiana a little bit. It's going to be a crazy atmosphere, but Ken Palm actually has Kansas by 6 or 7 points, which some fans may be surprised by. I'm not too surprised by it just because of that home effect. But yeah, they've got just a monster starting lineup. They move the ball like you wouldn't believe. They play elite defense. It's going to be a huge test. Even if Indiana plays their best game of the season, it could be a double-digit win for Kansas. But I think because of what I've seen over the years, I think it's a team that will show up and give it their all, thanks to that crowd. And I do think it could be a battle, but Indiana has their work cut out for them. That's for sure.
Yeah, Indiana obviously has to defend the 3-point line a little bit better, number one. But this has just been a tired discussion of Indiana's 3-point shooting and their lack of emphasizing it. They do not. It's when a 3-point shot seems to come, it's by accident. It seems like a guy just happens to be open, and the offense seems to be ran too tight to me. And by tight, I mean too far along the 3-point line. There's not enough spacing. And man, I would think with the bigs that they have that can move in and out, that Indiana should have the ultimate roster construction to be able to be the most spaced team on the country, or on the floor.
Yeah, you think about their strengths of having Ware and Renew, but they could use them, as you said, off-ball screening. There's not a whole lot of cutting. There's not a whole lot of off-ball movement. You mentioned the spacing. It is kind of more of an old school kind of look. They've got some sets where they really get good looks to the post, but surely they can run some guys off screens and get them open looks. I thought that was a problem even with guys like Kopp and some other guys here that were kind of catch and shoot, where you could set more screens for them. But the only positive of the game the other day was the 4 early 3-pointers. I think Cups knocking down a couple will help his confidence for the future for sure. But yeah, there's got to be more movement. And if you're playing a team like Kansas, you're going to have to knock some down. I think, 4 or 5 threes probably ain't going to cut it. Even if you're elite from down low against a team like that, they're going to have to knock down, 7 or more. Who knows what that number is, but
yeah, Kansas 9-1 coming into the Simon Scott Assembly Hall. They're the guys that you're going to have to watch out for. DeJuan Harris Jr., he's averaging 6 points a game, but seven assists a game. So he is getting the ball around. Kevin McCullough, he's averaging 19 points a game and 5 assists per game. KJ Adams, who's a forward, 13 points a game and 4 rebounds. But they're guards. Man, you're getting, and I talk about this and people don't believe me. Gabe Cupps is going to be a really good player. He's playing well already. He's doing great things as far as defensively. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes with the ball. He just doesn't score a lot. Now, the last game was different. He broke out. He hit that 3 to start the game, and that's something that they're going to need again, because you look at Kansas, the guards of Kansas, and between them, they're averaging 25 points a game and also 12 assists per game. Those are healthy numbers. And so Indiana has got to get good guard play in this game.
Another interesting thing is Kansas really rides their starters, which you and I have talked about, of maybe Indiana should do that a little bit more. The starting five for Indiana has pretty good net numbers for the year when they're on the floor together. Kansas has one of the lowest minutes per game from their second unit, or from anybody from the bench minutes in a game. So that's going to be important if Indiana can get any of those guys in foul trouble, make them have to go a little deeper. But yeah, I really hope Indiana kind of shrinks the rotation a little bit, at least the combinations. Always have a couple starters at the court, on the court at all times. But yeah, guard play has got to step up, got to knock down some shots, let the crowd inspire, and hope you can keep it close and put the pressure on the number 2 ranked team.
Well, especially because Kansas is going to be a guard-dominated offense. You've got some newcomers also on this program. That Elmarco Jackson, he's a freshman, but he's averaging over 6 points a game. And Johnny Furphy, he's also a freshman. He's averaging 6 points a game and shooting 40% from behind the arc. That is that. Then you add Hunter Dickinson to that mix. On top of that, who's averaging over 19 points and 12 rebounds a game. So they're more of a free-flowing shooting team, which is exactly what has given Indiana fits.
Yeah, when you have that balance and you can't really, hone in on any 1 or 2 players, I remember as a coach, that's the hardest to guard. I would like playing teams that had 1 star and not much else. There's a lot of things you could do, but when there's a ton of balance, a lot of guys that could hurt you, 2 guys averaging 19 or more, that's a tough cover. So maybe this extended practice time will be beneficial to them. Get that. Obviously, your last game wasn't inspiring for you, but hopefully Woody and the coaching staff really utilize this week and is continuing to do so to prepare, because it's a doozy of a Kansas team.
And I wonder, coaches, I'm not saying that they don't hear the outside rumblings. They do. And there's no doubt that Woody has really heard the rumblings about his substitution patterns. And because you could tell last week to me in Atlanta, it really hit when that question was asked, because he was like, Look, guys, if you look back, I always do that. Well, that's not the point. It's actually taking a look at it and saying, hey, is this a problem? Because it is. I don't. You look at, said I can't play these guys 40 minutes a game. I get that, but they don't need to rest for that long of a stretch, number one. Number two, they don't all have to rest at the same time. Number three, how many minutes a game did Trace Jackson Davis played last year? A bunch. Probably close, but 37, 38. He played close to 40 minutes because they needed him. Well, they have a deeper team this year, but it's not when they do it. And sometimes it is. You cannot take a hot player out. I was listening to Donegan yesterday, and he said, man, when you got a guy that's hot, you ride him. And I don't understand the mentality of stopping that. Archie Miller did the same thing. I didn't get it.
Yeah, I remember going back to, how fans would react to some of Crean's substitutions, maybe not as extreme as, like full lines at times, but a guy would get hot and come out just because of kind of the where they were in the game and the minutes and rotation and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, I've some of the things have been concerning as far as what Woodson has said. That was one of them early in the year when he was talking about, met with the media over Zoom and talked about 3-pointers, and maybe we'll be the team that doesn't make them and makes the tournament. And a lot of fans were just understandably frustrated of, the goal is not just to be a tournament team, and the goal is, obviously you're going to have to hit threes if you win in today's game. So some concerning comments. They've proved me wrong before as far as picking things up when they look kind of bleak. So hopefully that'll happen soon. But yeah, you look at the numbers, especially when I think it was Gunn, Banks, and maybe Walker or Sparks, when the 3 of them are all in at once. Indiana just has a really, really bad total net score, net rating in those minutes.